Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA. I'm KISMA, and today's episode is entitled Open Your Mind to Receive. And I personally am very excited for this because it's based on one of my mentor's books by Dr.Ponder. And the book is entitled that, Open Your Mind to Receive. So stay tuned on how to create more receptivity. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, hello there, Nick.
Hello, KISMA.
What's going on in your world?
Well, the green soup was good.
Oh, yeah. We just had green soup pre-podcasting.
Well, one of my favorite recipes, I'll have to pop it into the show notes. Really, I think you should. It's a great recipe. It's like a raw green soup. Yeah.
Especially if you have a Vitamixer thingy.
Yeah. It's like, it's just really kind of hearty, but also like vibrant, you know, 'cause it's a raw soup.
Yeah. It's a raw soup. It's not hot. It's a little smoothie-like, except you're using a spoon. Very fluffy.
Yeah. It's got that savory kind of flavor too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
And here we are. We're going to talk today on opening our minds to receive. And for our listeners out there, the reason I wanted to bring this topic in is that so many people come to me and doing, the work that I teach, which is around prosperity on all levels, wealth, health, love, and spirituality. And people say, well, I know the law of attraction or this or that. I'm just not getting what I want. And what I have found is it's oftentimes a receiving issue. In fact, I would venture to say it's usually always a receiving issue because if there's something that we desire and we don't have it, we are resisting it because it's there. And we talked a lot about this in our series, Working with the Law, right? The universal laws, law of polarity. If you want something, you see it, you envision it, you don't have it, it exists. And it's existing at the same time. And we have to find our way to step into it and to receive it.
Well, I love Ponder's works. This particular book is not one that I am super familiar with.
Not a lot of people are. I kind of found it and it's beautiful. And let's dive in. In this series, in this episode, what I want to talk about is, well, first of all, why, and she even puts this in her book. She goes, why should you deliberately open your mind to receive? And she says, because most of us have endured a pinched, narrow existence for no good reason. That's just like a mic drop. Your life has been pinched and narrow for no good reason, people. No, don't take that personally, but it's like, where have we settled? Where have we tolerated a certain existence because we're not receiving what is divinely ours?
Well, I think that toleration issue is kind of a big deal, actually.
It's a big deal.
Like, if you think about how many times in our lives, we're like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
okay.
Just enough.
It's good enough. It's like, all right. And I think in a certain respect, like that's important as far as good enough,
right.
Like if we get too far into the perfectionism and that, like that can be a really whole other conversation, but that's not really what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is like, okay, well, I've come to a certain point in my life and I could probably do a lot more, or, maybe there's something deeper inside of me or something that I know that I'm capable of, but this is fine. Or some of the things around that, that get in the way with, well, I'm curious to hear about this.
Well, I'm going to read that sentence again, because most of us have endured a pinched, narrow existence for no good reason. She goes on to say, we have blocked our good from getting through to us in the process. There's nothing divine about a pinched existence. There's nothing divine about a narrow, limited way of life. It proves nothing but the foolishness and ignorance of human beings who actually live in a universe of lavish abundance. I mean, drop the mic, Catherine.
Wow.
She must be 93.
Right in the first paragraph?
It's chapter 1. Like, and those are harsh words, foolishness and ignorance. But, Let's look at them. Ignorance isn't a bad word. When we're ignorant of something, we don't know the truth.
Yeah.
We don't know the truth. And so we end up in an illusion. When we're foolish about something, we also don't know the truth. We're just like whatever we're doing because we don't know the access that we have.
Yeah, it's like childish. It's like an immaturity, you know? And I don't think she's wrong about that. I think if you take it personally, if you put the charge on those words, it's like, I'm not foolish and ignorant, you know? But if you really look at what the words mean, what it means is they're aware of a childish immaturity, which I think is true about anybody, you know, as we mature into like our fullness of being and our fullness of expression. And ignorance is just an area of darkness.
Well, and she's just saying, and which is true, we actually live in a universe of lavish abundance.
Right.
So the word receive means to accept. And psychologists have told us over time in studies that we can have anything we mentally accept, but we must mentally accept it first. So until we bring this into our being, we've got to accept it. And Dr. Ponder says a great part of the act of receiving is thus to mentally accept the good we want rather than mentally fighting it.
So mentally accept. I have my idea of what that means. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about that, though.
For me, it's when I say mentally accept, it's a belief. It's a belief. Okay, I see this. I accept it, you know, through the power of the mind. I mentally accept that this can happen, that I can have this, that I can do this.
But what's the difference between that? Like, okay, that's a good idea. Like, I like that. And really like fully mentally accepting that.
I would say the percentage of doubt that creeps in. Like, that's a good idea. Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to be in action towards it? You know, I always say to my clients, action is that glue to your manifestations. So mentally accepting is like a full body. Yep. Okay, let's go. And no matter what shows up in your way, you believe, you just accept it. Like, this is truth. This can happen. This is mine. Now,
that's probably a place where a lot of people will hit the resistance right off the bat, huh?
Well, if they have doubt or they are on the blame train or the victim train or life is too hard and nothing really works. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the doubt, just like the idea of possibility, you know, some people have really big dreams and they're like, oh, I don't know. Like that's the doubt thing, right?
That's the doubt.
Yeah.
Well, here's where she goes into something very interesting. She says, how to identify with your source. Now, I use the word universe, spirit, God, source, whatever your word is, energy. She says, open your mind to receive by telling God what you want instead of constantly telling people. Telling people what you want can dissipate your good because God is the source of your supply, not people. Universe, those of you who have listened to us, you've heard us talk about even the energy of money. Money comes from the same source as everything else. The source of your supply comes from universe God. Although people, ideas, and opportunities are all channels of your supply, God is the source because God creates those ideas and opportunities. Through the law of mind action, God helps attract the appropriate people and circumstances to you to expedite those ideas and opportunities through which your good can come to pass. And this is where I see a lot of people missing the opportunities. They say, I want this, I want it this way. But then they meet somebody new or they have an opportunity and they ignore it because they don't understand that all of these possibilities show up right in front of them, or they're afraid, or they're scared, or it makes them uncomfortable. So we've got to grab onto those opportunities at hand because we all know that, well, maybe not, but it's important to know as you set a manifestation desire, there's all these different planes that start shifting in the universe. I just see them as like these cosmic planes, and they're dropping in these opportunities, these people for you to connect with and take your next step to bring in your manifestation. It's not just going to be placed in a basket at your front door, likely.
But it is divinely orchestrated.
It's divinely orchestrated through yourself.
It's pretty deep.
What we want to focus on in this episode is a way to receive, and a way to receive is to give. And Dr. Ponder talks about 3 types of giving that will allow you to be more receptive. And it's give to receive, right? And receive and give. She says, giving is the first step in receiving. When you want to receive, give. However, there are 3 kinds of giving. All 3 are equally necessary to your long-term growth and success. First, give to God. Put God first financially. Why? As is explained in Buddhism and elsewhere, this is the first quality to be developed in your character on the road to enlightenment. Many conscientious people study self-help methods galore, yet do not receive the benefits from them should they, because they ignore this first step. Various schemes have been suggested for getting rich quick. Most of them fail because they are based on getting. This is so interesting. The get rich quick scheme. Most of them fail because they are based on getting, not giving. They have no spiritual basis. So right there, when there's something showing up like get rich, get this, it doesn't have the spiritual basis. And money comes through spirituality and God. The reason many people fail to receive their good in life is because they do not practice giving or returning impersonally to the universe on a systematic basis, a portion of all that the universe shares with them.
It's easy to skip and get lazy with.
It's easy to skip and get lazy.
For myself, just in my own practice, is like, I've definitely caught myself at different periods, and man, like, why is everything seeming like such a drudge? Like, why is everything getting hard? and sure enough, I'll look and it'll be like, oh yeah,
I haven't tithed.
I mean, one of the things that I love to give to, because it's just fed me spiritually in so many ways, is the Vedanta,
right?
Vedanta LA, because they're doing their work out here. I love them. I just love the mission, but that's giving to God, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just making sure.
As is giving to the Unity Church of Dr.Ponder. We'll make sure we put a link there. I think they have an online. I usually write checks, but I think they have an online.
The idea is to give to something that feeds you spiritually. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be a church.
Feeds you spiritually. Just make sure that it's not like a Justified feeds me spiritually, like watching Law and Order feeds me spiritually. No, it doesn't.
No. Yeah. Like stay out of your mind.
Now, here's something interesting. Sort of what you said, Nick. When any persons withhold that which belongs to the universe, their lives are thrown out of balance and they experience lack in some form. It may be lack of supply, lack of health, lack of love, lack of spiritual understanding, or lack of direction in life. Only as we let go of our littleness can we expand into the larger life. So it is not enough to say you believe God is the source of your supply. You must prove you believe God is the source of your supply by first sharing with God. This keeps you in touch with a universal source of abundance. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
I got to write my check tonight.
Yeah, I love the way that she expresses these things. Yeah, I think I do too. Wow. Yeah, it's so important. It really is that important.
And what I love about this too, everyone, is it's not just about showing up in church or temple or whatever and like, oh, here's my donation. Here's the thing. No, like really have a sense of I'm giving to this organization that feeds me spiritually or this group that feeds me spiritually because the abundance comes from the universe through people. We're honoring the source of our supply. God, universe doesn't need the check, doesn't need the money. It is a reminder to us, and it's an opening of our channels of receptivity.
Something that I have been asked a lot about, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, is, okay, it's a beautiful concept and it's a wonderful idea. Where does it tip into the idea of like, okay, well, I'm giving to get? Right. It's like, it's not like you're freely.
You can't give to God.
The point is freely giving, right?
It's
like that's the
giving.
Practice of giving.
Right.
So like, but we have this understanding behind it. So I'm wondering if you can just kind of talk about like skating that line and like how to stay on the right side of it.
You just know, like if you're giving to get, you are not freely giving. You're missing the boat. I mean, it's that simple. So you've got to look at, if that's what's happening, give more. Give more, people.
KISMA's kicking it up a notch.
Let's do it. Let me talk about the second kind of giving.
Okay.
There's 3 here. Give to yourself.
Okay.
So you give to God. Second is give to yourself. Open your mind to receive by giving to yourself because all progress begins with self-improvement. And I love this because, you and I invest in ourselves all the time. But she says it is sometimes easy to undergive to yourself, but that unbalances the action of the law and keeps your good from coming through. You must first put your attention on the improvement and development of yourself, including your own strength and wisdom, before you can possibly help others. You cannot give to others unless you first have something to give. You must first have substance, along with a measure of strength and wisdom, before you can share these qualities with others. Some misguided people think it is selfish to emphasize self-improvement first, but only after self-improvement are you capable of helping others. So that goes back to your question. What if you're trying to give to get? That is not a stance of self-improvement.
That's right.
Right.
It's selfish.
Mm-hmm,
you're giving
it's selfish.
To get.
Right.
And I mean, that's the beauty and the spirit of giving, is giving freely, like expecting nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the same time, there's a wisdom in you plant seeds so that you can reap a harvest.
Yeah.
There's an intention behind it. But, that beautiful poem, The Olive Tree, talks about the ways and the means and how that shows up in such a different kind of way.
Well, it's, for sure. And can we expect what we want? Yes. Do we want to stay unattached to it? Yes. And that is always, that's a whole nother episode. That's always the fine line.
But that's really interesting, especially when you put it into your self context. Like, like I'm doing this to improve myself. Like, well, why am I doing that? I think the right side of that is just, I'm doing that so that I can give more.
So I can be more, I can give more. Like she says, but only after self-improvement are you capable of helping others. When you do the opposite, when you overgive to others, you feel depleted, and you are. It causes a sense of lack within you that is degrading and limiting. Because of this, overgiving to others is self-defeating to you and can be hurtful to those others as well. It accomplishes nothing constructive.
Whoa.
I know, man. She lays it down.
She's right. And it's not just a feeling of lack. That will sap that will sap you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I've talk to and work with that are responsible for others and caregivers, and they are consistently on the wrong side of that, and their physiology, their body and their mind, and their emotions really takes the hit on, really takes the hit on that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fascinating that she brings it up and really directly
fierce.
too.
She's fierce. We have quoted through the Vedanta, of course, because Swamiji loves Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true." And she said, this might be revised to read, "To thine own self be generous." I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Give something to yourself right away. It might be a new book you wish to read, an item of clothing or jewelry, or something for your home or office. It might be the treat of going out to dinner, to the theater, to a party, or taking a vacation. It might be deliberately setting aside some daily time for prayer, meditation, and inspirational study. It might be something big or small, tangible or intangible. I love that because, the gift I want to give myself every day is to be able to meditate and study. And when I don't give it to myself, I feel it.
Yeah.
I get very
really
sad.
Fast.
Yeah. I get very sad. Like I've been giving myself that thing that I want. So it doesn't have to be tangible. And then at other times, I think it is important for people to go out and buy something special.
Yeah. Buy the thing, buy the thing, do the thing, have the experience, I do think that's really important. And it doesn't have to be a big deal.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like a big extravagant thing. Sometimes it's just something really little.
Exactly. The third kind of giving. After giving to God and to yourself, give something to someone else. Isn't that interesting, everyone? It's like, it is universe, God, spirit, it's yourself, and then it's someone else. After you give something to someone else, bless whatever you have given. Bless the person or persons to whom you gave it. Then release both the gift and the recipient. Any of us, man, woman, or child, can transform our lives by transforming what we give to God, what we give to ourselves, and what we give to others. So it's back to that thing, Nick, that you said, well, if I'm going to give something, I'm going to get it. Give, bless the thing that you give, bless the people you give it to, and release. It's done. It's complete.
Yeah. What's funny about that is you don't always know in the moment
Well, you do know
right?
If you think about it.
Well, in the moment you could be like, oh yeah, it's great. It's a gift. It's free, like whatever. But then, a little bit down the road, that person doesn't do for you. And all of a sudden, there's this, well, I did this, or I gave you, like there's this kind of internal dialogue that can be built around this. It's like, it's funny how you don't really always know like where you stand on that, but at any point when you do that, you pollute the gift. You pollute the gift. You pollute your action. It's not a gift anymore. It's not a gift. Yeah, all of a sudden it's a transaction. Yeah. She also says when you aren't sure what to give to others, there's a time to declare, I give under divine direction. So just you state that, I give under divine direction. And then you watch the hunches, the ideas that come. And you will be shown, you'll get a sign, you'll know, you'll get an insight of what to give. And when you give under divine direction, you really do open the channels through the blessings that are free to come to you, right? It's like first give to God, then give to humankind as God directs, which I really love that. It's like you're really a channel for how you're going to give. Yeah. Yeah. So you can receive by preparing to receive, and prepare to receive by giving. And this is how you prepare. Yeah. And she's pretty clear in it, because that was one of my questions when you started, is like, does the order matter? The order kind of matters. Like, the order matters because we really do want to acknowledge spirit, universe, God, source, as the source of our supply. We want to take care of ourselves first, and then we give to others. Right. It's systematic. It's a beautiful formula. And when you look at it really from a broader perspective, it's genius. Because now, like, let's just assume that you've got, people that are doing this out there, and really following this simple prescription. 1, 2, 3. What do you have? Well, you have people who are giving to feed their spirituality, their connection to God, their spiritual growth. Okay. So you've got spiritually minded folks who are strong and stable and grounded within themselves, who are humble enough to keep doing the work on themselves, and then to share that with other people. Like that's a winning formula. It is. Like that's the way to transform the whole world. Yeah. So take it on, everyone. And I'd love to hear from you. So if you're willing to follow this formula, find me on Instagram, KISMA Awake, find Nick, the Mystic Next Door, put a comment under one of our posts, or send us an email at hello@illuminationpodcast.com. And my illuminated thought for today is very basic. We've been saying it all during the episode, is in order to receive, we must give. It's freely. The only way. Freely. All right, everyone, tune in next week for part 2 of the series, Open Your Mind to Receive. And until then, sending you much love and peace. Namaste. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.